Hey everybody, this is the Post Movie Podcast. I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
And we're recording here again at Panera Bread, so I want to say, and I've neglected to say this through like every frigging episode, is that like we're recording this quote unquote live at Panera Bread, so there's talking and stuff, there's people, there's plates, there's babies crying, there's shit that goes on.
Atmosphere. It's atmosphere.
We'd like to think that you think it's atmosphere and it creates a pleasing ambiance or something like that, but sometimes it's fucking annoying, and I apologize for that.
Well,
I apologize.
Starting the show with an apology. It's only going to go uphill from here.
Well, I was saying to John before we started recording that I want to make the sound better. I want to get better equipment. I want to, just generally make it so that there's so when shit goes on in the background, it's not like repelling anybody. You know what I mean?
That's not what repels.
Annoying sounds and stuff like that. And with the right equipment in the right place, you got a great sounding podcast. And at least that's in my head. That's a goal.
My goal is to have ring girls introduce each movie.
Well,
just in your mind, yeah. There's a bikini-clad babe walking around holding up Cowboys and Aliens on a sign right now.
That kind of...
Lovely, honey, lovely.
Really?
See you after the show. Yeah, it's the Panera girls.
Talking about Cowboys and... See, that's the yelling I'm talking about right now. Somebody is yelling because they want to get a turkey sandwich or something like that. Okay, whatever. All right, this episode, John and I are going to talk about, discuss... film I just saw, Cowboys and Aliens. And we're also going to talk about the new Steve Carell, Ryan Gosling, of all people, believe it or not, comedy, Crazy Stupid Love. And do you want to talk about Another Earth? Do we have anything?
No, I never saw it.
Okay, maybe I'll say a little about it.
You can talk about that, and I can talk about Smurfs.
Well, oh, good.
Yeah,
good.
Smurfs sucks. Now your turn.
I'll just say this about Another Earth. I saw it last month. I thought it was a fun film. It's very small. It's almost, God, I hate that fucking word, mumblecore. It's just DIY. I mean, it's like some scenes were basically filmed in a garage. It seemed like, but it's great. It's a really good movie. It's sort of hangs on a singular sci-fi notion that another Earth has appeared in the atmosphere, and over the course of 4 years in this film story, it gets closer to Earth. And see, there's the baby. There's the baby crying I was telling you about. All right, so the movie stars Britt Marling and William Mothpar. I think I'm getting his name correct. I don't have any information in front of me, but he was in. People will remember him as, I think, Ethan from Lost. Crying baby.
I never saw it. I never saw Lost. Just ignore it, Steve.
The central concept is, what if in this Earth that is a complete reflection of our society, down to the very people that inhabit the Earth, what if you could meet yourself?
Really?
Yeah, what if you could meet yourself, or you could exchange, places with this other person and in a way fix your life? So it's philosophical. Like that is one.
And it was all
filmed
filmed in somebody's garage. You know how I feel about those cell phone movies. So
unbelievable. Okay, I'm pausing this right now.
Forward.
All right, we're back. The crying, the screaming, the shrilling, yelping, screaming seems to have
I'll go apologize
have died
for Baby Smurfs didn't suck.
So
it's crying Smurf.
So Another Earth. I interviewed Britt Marling, terrific lady, and we're going to have that as another episode on the podcast in the next couple of days. I got to get it together. But I spoke to her a couple weeks ago, and we kind of tossed theories at each other about what are the possibilities of what would happen if you actually met yourself. So anyway. Another Earth opens today at the Coolidge Corner Theater, and I think it's been playing for a week or two already nationwide, so check it out. Moving on.
Smurfs still suck. But I do want to say one thing. At the press screening for the Smurfs, it's in 3D, right?
Yeah.
So we go in, and we're sitting there, the movie comes on, we put on our glasses, and we're sitting there going, it's the comments. They got the focus wrong. Something's wrong with the focus, because some of it's in focus, some of it's out of focus, and we're like, what's going on? What's going on? The woman next to me goes, you've got the wrong glasses. And I was like, what? I had
the wrong glasses.
I got them when I walked in. They were the big tray. I picked up a pair of glasses, and evidently you need these special real 3D glasses and not the ones I had. I was getting such a headache. I was leaving, and the studio rep was like, please don't leave. and gave me the right pair of glasses. So I missed about the first 20 minutes between, trying to figure out if they were ever going to fix the focus and then going out and getting the real glasses, and they came in, and the movie just never got any better.
Man, I didn't think that that meant anything, real 3D. I mean, I'm like...
I thought it was just a
3D,
catchy phrase.
I just thought it was a phrase, too.
Yeah.
So it's an actual difference.
Yeah, so if you're already paying the premium, the $3 extra to bring your family to see Smurfs, make sure you get it'll say real 3D on the side, make sure you get those. And, enjoy that movie.
I don't think I have. I passed on it.
Yeah.
It's like, whatever. I think what are the Smurfs out of the 80s? The 80s nostalgia for it?
Something like that, yeah.
I guess when the announcement was made that they were making a Smurfs movie, there was some like, oh, Smurf. Big whoop. Big whoop. Anyway.
All right.
Moving on. It's so very, very exciting. All right, let's. What do you want to do first? You want to do Cowboys and Aliens?
Yep.
That was the
Get
one
it out of the way. You just saw it. You're
just
fresh. You're fresh. What's your response to this?
I wasn't so into it. Yeah. I mean, I digged it, and we talked about it briefly before we started recording, and I think the essence of it is I wish it had stayed a cowboy movie. But I want to tell you, had a couple of issues prior to seeing the movie. Had one issue prior to seeing the movie, and another one during the fucking movie. Okay, so I couldn't go to the press screening. I had a prior commitment last Tuesday. I couldn't make the press screening, so I caught it this morning at the first showing down at Boston Common, and I entered the theater in the dark, and apparently in the first 3 rows of this theater, there's sort of this, there's like a path between the most of the seats are in the back, and then there's like maybe 5 rows of seats in the front, and there's sort of a path. Well, so I thought I'd cut through the front. There is a bar.
They don't go all the way across.
Right, they don't go out. There is a bar. And when it's dark and the fucking film has
you're
started...
all excited.
Right, so I started walking down the middle of this path and got nailed in the thighs by this bar, and these schmoes off to my right. They don't, say, are you okay? Is everything all right? They just sat there like a bunch of idiots and laughed.
Well, I laughed when you told me.
It was painful, and so I did a stone turn to my right to stop for a few seconds to lock eyes with the person who was laughing at me. Like, what the hell, man? That was, and they of course embarrassment set in.
Yeah.
You could see the guy like hiding his face from me like that. I'm like, whatever. So I move on with 2 painful thighs, find my seat, and. Anyway, about 20 minutes into the movie, these 2 black guys enter the theater, arms loaded, literally, with popcorn and drinks and a couple of bags hanging from each arm. And I'm not talking about like, little, normal-sized people. I mean large people. And they're sitting 2 rows in front of me, and they just start casually talking during the film.
And the movie's already playing.
The movie's been playing for maybe a half hour, and they're still talking. Still carrying on a conversation about something and crinkling and bags and shit and eating. And I'm thinking, I don't have it in me to shush them. I don't have it. I don't have the what do I got to do to make these fucking idiots shut up? I'm thinking in my mind, do I go to theater management and send in a proxy to take care of the problem? But there's other people that are sitting around me. They have the same issue too. And I think with all the stories we've heard about journalists and our friends just telling another person to shush during a movie who you don't know could result in the kind of fight the kind of fight that broke out at Mr. Popper's Penguins. If you recall.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And in the kind of story that Brett had happened to him, the situation that happened to Brett when he was watching a Tyler Perry film, and he told the large black woman a couple seats away from him to shh, and she says, "You did not say shh to me." And so here I am. I mean, I had reprimanded three teenagers for texting during. I just fucking demanded that this is not happening during Transformers. But I thought I felt like me, white guy, not huge, like it could have caused a problem. So I had basically just wimped out.
Well,
I had to sit back and listen to these fucking idiots just have a conversation during the movie.
I think
very nice. But I want to say that it tapered off, and for maybe the last 45 minutes we didn't get their fucking idiot conversation. I'm sorry, I'm done.
No, sorry. Two things. It's funny, when we do press screenings, there's security there with night vision goggles. They give you a lecture ahead of time not to, if you turn on your cell phone, you'll be asked to leave. And those screenings, we kind of giggle because we got patted down when we came in, or we refused to be patted down, or whatever. So I think that's taking it to the extreme. But at the same time, the theaters have to have people walk through. They've got like 20 cinemas and 3 people working.
But like at this, when I saw Cowboys and Aliens a couple hours ago, it's in theater 16, which is hell and gone from any sort of management. It's the furthest down the hall. It is like, not only for listeners who aren't familiar with this theater, not only is it the furthest theater down the hall, it is also like 2 or 3 stories up. So it's like long walk, then escalator, then talk to somebody. It's just not worth it. Unless you're basically planning on missing the movie to make a point.
Yeah, and I just think audiences is just rude. They pretend, they act like they're in their
terribly
in general. When I don't talk during a movie. If I have to look at my watch, I make sure it's very, I cover it as much as I can. It's just polite. It's just being polite to other people around you. You wouldn't do that in the theater, just because, or in
no, it's
like when you go to see a concert, just because it's loud, people think they can sing along next to you, or
it's like they run the show and they come in halfway through the film as if they just walked across the hall from
Smurfs.
God, Smurfs or something.
Well, then if that was the case, then they were probably just letting off steam because Smurfs suck so much.
Just entirely.
But this didn't color your judgment of the movie, I hope. Between
well,
your
I think I was kind of digging it at the time, but I want to say, I guess I had fun. I enjoyed it. It's definitely Cowboys and Aliens. It's definitely not as entertaining as Captain America: The First Avenger, but it was all right. It was all right. That's the quick take, John.
Yeah, I like the Cowboys. I didn't like the Aliens. I thought the whole opening premise of Daniel Craig makes a cool cowboy. Harrison Ford is he's a little much for me.
He was a little hard to accept.
Yeah.
Because it was too much
being
Harrison Ford
cowboy.
Being, in this role, and I wasn't buying it.
Right.
I wasn't buying it.
You bought Daniel Craig right away.
I guess.
But the thing is, and I think it has to do a lot with Favreau as a director, too, because there are scenes when it's a Western, and then there's a shift because it's time to add the special effects. It's kind of subtle, but I noticed at one point where the aliens come flying in over the horizon.
Coffee's being made. I don't know what's happening over there, but we got some kind of machine going on. Sorry about that.
No, but there's a shift in tone in the movie, just a little bit, where you can see like they're setting up, so here come the aliens.
Yeah.
Which if they were just Indians, Native Americans, whatever, that wouldn't happen. You just show them coming up over the hill. But there's that subtle shift when the action has to switch to the special effects. And just in general, I didn't think the aliens worked at all. I thought it was a terrible collision of genres.
Did you find it confusing? I was confused.
Yeah, and I read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely confusing. And the chick who's in it,
Olivia Wilde.
Yeah, I mean, she's supposed to be this tough, saloon girl, and she wears her gun like it's a fashion accessory. It's just crazy. She's awful.
She was kick-ass in Tron, but I think
what was she in Tron?
She run? She was Tron 2.0. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. She had maybe a certain coldness that works for her. It doesn't work here.
No.
She was just too well pronounced. But then there's a reveal, so maybe there's a reason that she's maybe there's a reason that she's too well.
Well, the reason didn't work for me. It just and that's the kind of thing where if I see the reveal and I have to think back of how bad she's been up to that point, it's not working.
So just setting up the film really quickly, we're introduced to Daniel Craig, who's like this lone cowboy that gets awakened out of nowhere from some sort of malevolent dream, and he wanders into town and just happens to see Paul Dano, who plays this screwy kid with a entitlement complex, who thinks he can run the place. So he starts shooting up buildings randomly, and starts shooting at the sign of Sam Rockwell's saloon. Sam Rockwell plays the saloon owner in town. Him and his new wife trying to make it's their dream. They're trying to make a go of it, and so it creates a early in the film showdown between Paul Dano and Daniel Craig, and of course Dano gets it in the balls, and Daniel Craig, because he's basically bested this douchebag in front of the lady. It's always good. Like, if you're going to get the lady, you have to do, in terms of Dav Steve's philosophy, you have to do something awesome in her presence.
And he does.
So Craig's awesome thing is that he pounds Paul Dano into the ground, and you basically get the reaction shot from Olivia Wilde going, like she's now owned by Daniel Craig. So, and of course, so during all this, I guess I forgot to mention that he has a pretty wicked-looking bracelet,
big slab of metal on his wrist.
Yeah, grungy sci-fi, dirty-looking type of bracelet that not even he knows what it is, because he's walking around in a fog. He doesn't even know why he's there. I guess he has like vague memories, but slowly he's trying to figure out what his purpose is, and people are trying to figure out like why, he's there, and so it ends. It's confusing, man. So Paul Dano's father is Harrison Ford, who's like the cattle rancher that basically owns the town because his livelihood, allows a lot of people to live.
They wouldn't have jobs if they wouldn't for cattle.
So there's a showdown between Harrison Ford's gang of employees and the new guy, Daniel Craig. Not at midnight or anything like that, but later in the evening, late enough in the evening so that when the spaceships appear, they're nice and glowy and you can kind of see them. Yeah. And they look like hawks coming down, and they've got these like electronic lassos that start pulling the townspeople up. They're being lassoed for what reason we don't know.
Rounding them up. They're rounding them up.
So that it's Cowboys versus aliens starts right there, and then they decide, okay, we're going to try and find out what these alien things are all about. So they basically destroy the town, and then whoever's left with Harrison Ford's guys and Daniel Craig's guys, they get together and
form a posse
to get out, to try and find out what's up with these aliens.
Yeah, it's just that's just the thing. If it was bad guys ride into town, kill a couple people, then the good guys form a posse and go after them, fine. It's just the idea that the bad guys are these creatures from another planet. I'm just not buying it. And the fact that these, even though it's 1870-something Wild West, these townspeople take it pretty much in stride that there's giant metal things. Like the preacher talks about them, maybe they're demons, but it's like one or two throwaway lines. And everyone else seems to take it into stride that there's these, creatures.
All right.
It's just ridiculous.
The creatures, they look like District 9.
With an extra set of hands in their stomach.
Yeah, I was really digging on the, listen to me, digging on the, it being a cowboy story.
Yeah.
And then, of course, aliens in the title. We're expecting, when are the aliens? There's this expectation, like, when are the aliens going to come? And I'm thinking I'd actually like the pacing to pick up so we can get to the alien stuff, because we all know it's coming.
Right.
The question is when,
See, and I like the whole, I think Favreau did a great job of setting a tone for a Western, and the characters are good, the setting looked good.
Yeah.
It was a Western. It was like I was, watching an old John Wayne flick.
There were a couple of times, when some insane shit happens. When a fight breaks out, when some knives are at people's throats, when some gunplay happens. I noticed that he cuts to the dog.
Oh, yeah.
And the dog always gets the laugh because it, represents, balance.
No, it represents bad writing because they can't come up with a human reaction. They have to cut to the dog. And we're talking about IMDb, there's 9 writers in this fucking movie.
Right. Now, I wouldn't say that the movie is badly written, but I would say it's a result of people say, why why do bad movies happen? If it's a great script, why do bad movies happen?
Right.
And you can tell from the credits on this film that they had put this through the fucking washing machine in terms of writers, so that it becomes probably indecipherable from what was originally Robert Kurtzenowitz's first, the screenwriter's first script. I mean, there were probably, if they're crediting 9, at least on the IMDb, I would bet there's more.
Yeah.
More.
And the thing is, when you're the director, you're working with these writers all the time, so in your head it probably plays right, but when you're trying to just sell to people who don't know the story, there's just too much confusion, too many cheap dog reactions.
It was hard to follow.
Yeah.
I found it like there was a moment I'm thinking, like, what the hell are they trying to do? I mean, we're just trying to find these fucking aliens, and we don't even know why they're here. I mean, I guess they're trying to find out why they're here, but like the real purposes of these characters.
We won't get off people back.
Sort of like, I don't know. It wasn't very deep.
No.
And I'm striving for something to latch on to in terms of caring about Sam Rockwell's character, or Harrison Ford's character is a good example. Just not. I don't think he's a very well-defined character.
No, because he's kind of like. That's the whole thing. This whole movie is shallow. There is no deepness here. Harrison Ford is given cliche moments. Okay, I'm an asshole in the beginning, and then I befriend a little kid.
They don't make sense.
And then I'm a good guy at the end.
They don't make sense. Well, this is part of the problem with Daniel Craig's character too. Okay, so when they start venturing out into the wild to find out find these aliens, or find their townspeople that were taken.
Right.
So that,
get our people back.
I guess there's an objective. He ends up meeting his old gang.
Right.
So we think he's the good guy, but apparently he's some badass who's the head of a gang of 30 thieves. They're planning to, at the time they meet him, planning to rob a stagecoach or something like that. It was a train. So we're thinking to ourselves, like, at least I'm thinking, like, man, this guy was, he was a badass.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Like we were not a badass, but like a bad guy.
Right.
Why all of a sudden the shift?
Again.
What's going on? And then with Harrison Ford, he's supposed to be the bad guy here. He's supposed to be the guy you fear.
He's the evil cattle baron. And they're all changed on little, like, all right, Daniel Craig he's a murderer, he's a thief, but he was giving it all up for the love of a woman. And that's like a throwaway line in a flashback. Harrison Ford, he's an asshole. He rules the town, but somehow he has a story about a knife that he gives this little boy.
Not only is he an asshole who rules the town, but he doesn't care about the guys who work for him.
Right.
Even though the guys who work for him, like particularly this one Native American guy, is like thinks he's a god.
Adam Beach.
Dad,
Yeah.
Just
another
does not
bad
play.
Adam Beach.
All right. Spoiler. If anybody doesn't want to go beyond this point, you're going to have to go somewhere else, because I want to tell you something, and that something is when these aliens abduct you, and they never abducted Harrison Ford, they put you into some sort of hypnotic state where you're standing there. You're all wrapped up like you've been lassoed, like they say in the movie. And you're standing there, and your eyes turn all white, and you stand up and you look at this big white ball, big white glowing ball. Everybody stares into the big white ball, and you're it's just hypnotic. You're hypnotized,
right? And
your memory is wiped. You're like a droid. It's like your fucking memory wiped, or you've lost the past couple of years, or something like that. You don't even, I suppose you know your name, but you don't know where you've come from, or whatever.
But are the aliens feeding off them? Or are they?
I don't know.
It's never explained.
I don't know.
It's never explained. And then it's just, and then once they shoot the giant glowing ball, and it turns out to be full of goo.
But it's like, does this memory wipe turn a bad guy into a good guy? Did it turn Daniel Craig from this fucking killer shithead into a good guy?
No, it's the love of a woman that did that.
But Harrison Ford has a major character shift.
Yeah.
His arc doesn't doesn't line up, doesn't make, at least in me, in terms of like emotionally connecting with him, or logically connecting, it doesn't work.
No, and I'm sure part of it is that, because he's Harrison Ford, you can't have him be a bad guy the whole way through. Because that would, you can't have Indiana Jones and that guy from Star Wars be a bad guy all the way through. And I'm sure that's probably where one of the writers came out and said, Harrison won't do it until you change this. So what if it screws up the rest of the movie?
Yeah. This movie's expectations work against it.
Yeah.
And
I didn't really have any.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to be entertained. And
there was some cool stuff, but boy, does it look digital. I can't really say that the CGI was that great. And another thing. I just could not connect with Olivia Wilde. She was so cold. Yeah. It's inaccessible.
Yeah, it's
there
a bad
are many elements about this film that are inaccessible. I will even go as far to say that a couple of throwaway lines from Sam Rockwell, he was usually really funny and great, they fell flat.
Yeah,
it was all right. It could be amusing, but it just felt stilted.
They use his lines like they use the dog. They need a reaction. They need a laugh here. Oh, give Sam, insert that Sam thing.
You know who was good though? The kid. The kid, when he had to attack that alien, or the alien attacked him. There's a freaky moment where the alien has these other set of hands that fucking come out of his belly, chest or something like that. That was kind of creepy. Like many films, this movie has its good moments, its entertaining moments, and it's a collection of moments, but it ultimately doesn't result in a great film.
No.
Interesting note, though, I should say. This is going to be the first in a number of genre mashups. Cowboys, Aliens, we're going to be getting Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which is now filming.
It's a great book.
Pride and Prejudice and Zombies is coming, so we're getting some genre mashups.
I've read both those books. They're hugely entertaining, but like with Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, the author really took made a lot of effort to make it read like a Jane Austen book. I don't know if there'll be this, if they're going to make a period piece that just happens to have zombies, or if they're making a zombie movie that just happens to have period costumes in it.
Right.
Be interesting to see. But they were fun reads, and Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer was just a riot.
Is it Vampire Slayer or Vampire
Hunter? Whatever. Abe Lincoln, killing vampires.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that it's in production with Mary Elizabeth Winstead as
Abraham Lincoln.
As Mary Todd Lincoln.
Who plays Abe Lincoln?
I don't recall. You're going to have to look that up on the computer there.
Not Harrison Ford.
Yeah. Abe Lincoln, isn't it James...
Gandolfini?
Oh, God, no. Fucking, what's his name? Scottish actor from Wanted. James McAvoy. Is it James
Abraham
McAvoy? No. I'm thinking of The Conspirator. I'm sorry. I've got it. Don't listen to me. Moving on.
Yes.
Crazy Stupid Love. I got my notebook in front of me, and I'm thinking, I must have taken notes on it somewhere, but Crazy Stupid Love with Steve Carell and Julianne Moore and Ryan Gosling, and man, this movie should have had an hour chopped out of it. No, I'm exaggerating. A half hour. It was too long.
Really?
Yeah, that's a throwaway. That's a throwaway comment.
I did not think so at all. I was taken by this hook, line, and sinker.
Are you sure we're talking about the right film?
Oh yeah.
Not Justin Timberlake.
No, we're not talking about Friends with Benefits. We're talking about Crazy Stupid Love. Finally, a grown-up romantic comedy. Not even a romantic comedy. It was more like a farce.
Was this R-rated?
I don't know.
I don't recall.
It might have been just for the language.
I think there was a fuck or two.
Yes,
everything did come to a head, I must say, in the final 10 minutes.
But you found parts of it boring? Because I liked it from beginning through to the end. I had a blast.
I like Steve Carell, but I was not really thinking that he played more of a character here than he played in Date Night. We'd seen this before in Date Night. I think the problem I have with this movie is not with Steve Carell, and not with Ryan Gosling. Right? Ryan Gosling gives a fine performance, and I think he's perfectly cast. Mm-hmm. It's with the writing. It's with the substantiating his character's reason for wanting to help Steve Carell. So we have a guy here who seems to be living in his... it's not, he's just surviving. You know, he's not doing
Who, Ryan
awesome.
Gosling?
Steve Carell. He's not
Right.
doing awesome. He's not doing bad. He's doing just, normal. But his love life is failing, which I
Yeah,
guess is
his
played out in
wife
the
cheated
first
on
couple
him.
minutes, basically, yeah, with Kevin Bacon.
Well, I think it's got a great establishing shot where over the credits they show people playing footsies in restaurants,
Right.
that, people are so much in love they can't help but play footsie. And then they show us Steve Carell and Julianne Moore's feet, and if feet could ever look like they hated one another, it's these feet.
Right.
And so something's wrong. On the ride home, she confesses she's had an affair. He moves out. That's a little short to me. There's no discussion.
He's
He just moves
devastated.
out. Right.
We saw it coming.
Gets a bachelor pad, and then he's just numb. I mean, his coworkers catch him crying in the bathroom so hard they think he's got cancer, but it's just my marriage.
On a comedy level, it works. But
so he meets Ryan Gosling, or
yeah,
Ryan,
I don't know. Steve Carell starts going to a nightclub.
right, bar.
Just basically to drown his sorrows, and for some reason that I don't think is completely substantiated, Ryan Gosling's character decides to talk with.
Well, I think that after 3 nights of listening to Carell complain to everyone in the bar that his life sucks, Ryan Gosling has enough of it and says, "Come here. Everyone knows your life sucks." All right. It's a little. I don't know why Ryan Gosling would take him under his wing to teach him how to be a
it just
man
doesn't.
again.
It doesn't seem. But it's a movie. It's a setup.
Didn't bother me.
And the setup happened right on time at about 10 minutes in.
Yep.
And so the entertainment value here is Ryan Gosling making his moves, doing what he does as a ladies' man. How to be cool,
how to dress, how to act, how to talk to women,
how to get ladies in bed.
Yeah.
That is ultimately the objective. So there are just these amusing scenarios where you can make it, and then break it, like just on your presentation alone. Mm-hmm. And then when Ryan Gosling's character takes over, it's like done deal already. What are you doing later? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just he's got it. He's got everything tied into ultimately getting the lady in bed. Mm-hmm. Okay, subplot. Steve Carell's family. He has a son, he has a daughter, his wife. He's moved out. He's living in a hotel. But his babysitter, who lives a few houses down, maybe around the block. I guess she's 16, 17. She's a senior in high school. She has developed a crush on Mr. Carell. And this comes out during the rides home that he, gives her after the babysitting duties have been completed. But there's a love triangle going on here because Steve Carell's 14-year-old son, 13, 14?
I think
he's
whatever,
14.
yeah. His young son.
I think he makes the point that there's a 3-year age difference between him and the babysitter. Has a proclaimed it's out there love for the babysitter.
Proclaims it every chance he gets.
Right, and she's just like knocking away his advances like Wonder Woman knocking away bullets, So, but he keeps on trying. But he doesn't know that the other guy that she's interested in is Steve Carell.
But I think that the whole thing with the young boy and the babysitter is handled pretty well. She doesn't attack him. She doesn't berate him. She just kind of says, it's never going to happen. Go on your way. You're just a kid. Go on your way. She's very. I like the way it's handled.
She keeps trying to talk him out of it. He keeps trying to talk her out of it.
Yeah, with text and all this other stuff. And then at the same time, she's trying to figure out a way to seduce his dad.
Well, you keep
Carell's
on
pretty
going.
clueless.
I thought it was all pretty plain, but
Carell's pretty clueless to everything that's going on. But then, at one point, he finally, he's at the feet of his guru, Ryan Gosling, and he's trying to pick up ladies, but he always talks about his family, or he says something bad about his relationship history. And finally, he meets a woman in a bar who likes him for that, likes the fact that he's honest with her and
his
tells
truthfulness.
her. And, so they end up having a fling.
I guess it's kind of playing on the idea of the the well-established idea that single guys generally suck.
I guess.
Or are liars. And so Marissa Tomei it's a supporting role, but it's fairly funny.
Yeah, and it has a great payoff, I think. You know, we find out that her life is connected to Carell's in ways that they didn't realize.
Well, that's the thing here, is like everybody's connected.
Yeah, and I love the payoff. When you find out how Marissa Tomei is connected, you find out how the babysitter's connected to it all. You know,
and then in the midst of all this, Ryan Gosling meets a girl out of the blue, Emma Stone,
right.
this babe, who basically changes his life, changes his
whole perspective. Right. He finally met a girl he cares about more than just getting in the bed.
So we have the character crossover here, where the elements of Steve Carell's character are playing into a situation that Ryan Gosling character's needs, and then Ryan Gosling's elements are playing into what Steve Carell, so the crossover kind of happens.
Yep.
The homie becomes the party guy becomes more of a homie, more realistic, and
that's not where it ends.
Standard, yeah.
See, I liked when they all came. I thought when they all came together, and it wasn't I thought it was totally unexpected. I didn't realize how some of them were connected. And I liked the way it was handled. I thought it was well acted, pretty well written. Yeah.
I think I'm right there with you. I'm a little down on the film because I thought that it was a bit long and the characters were unconvincing. But I will grant you, it is funny. Steve Carell's son does a fine job. I recall the actor's name who plays
Bobo.
him, but Bobo. A fine job.
The baby.
Julianne Moore is kind of inconsequential.
Right. She seems like she was hired just because she can cry on cue.
And Kevin Bacon is he's really good. He's a really good douchebag.
Yeah.
And he just has a douchebag presence.
Remember him in
and he's
Super.
really a good guy. We can assume that he's really a good guy, but he is.
He's still a douchebag.
He's
the office
an
douchebag.
angling motherfucker.
I like the girl who played the babysitter. I thought she was adorable.
Hope to see more from her.
Emma Stone was fun. She doesn't have a big part in the movie, but I think it's really Gosling and Carell that work, especially Gosling.
Oh, the part that's selling this movie is when Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling get it on.
Yeah,
that's what's going to sell this movie. It's basically about getting her in bed. I think it is R-rated because some of the language between them is pretty.
Some of the language between all of them. Everyone has a very creative vocabulary in this.
Yeah.
But it's a different kind of role for Gosling too. It's more mainstream than he usually does. This is the same guy who did Blue Valentine.
Has he ever done a comedy before? He is
Lars and the Real Girl.
Right. I don't know.
I laughed at The Notebook, but that's me.
He's an actor that I've always thought was very full of himself, assured of himself. These very things that are attracted to women is kind of the way Ryan Gosling acts. When I interviewed him for Murder by Numbers, he kind of knew that this is how things were going to go. And in that movie, his career, and that things were going to work out. And in that movie, he was cast because he had a more mature attitude. He was a much younger guy, going with Sandra Bullock. Who was, I guess, in her late 30s at the time. So maybe there was like a 10 or more year age difference at the time. And so he was cast on that. His assuredness works for the film. And this is the shit that girls are going to talk about. The scene where he takes his shirt off. That scene where you go back to his house and he just doesn't have to worry about money because his dad has made a ton of money. So it's like he is a playboy because he can afford to be.
But do you think? So that's good at establishing the early guy. Do you think the change he makes when he finally finds a woman that he cares about?
No, I think we look at this from Steve Carell's point of view, that because he knows him, Steve Carell is never going to trust Ryan Gosling.
Right.
He knows how Ryan Gosling operates. So as much as Ryan Gosling's character tries to be a normal, well-adjusted, thoughtful guy, and he's not a mean guy. He's just kind of a womanizer. Just kind of like, any woman that goes out to him, out with him. Steve Carell's advice to that woman would be, you better watch yourself, because I've seen him do some really untrustworthy stuff. He just doesn't trust him.
Right, but the scene where he's with Emma Stone and she starts breaking through his bullshit, I thought was very well played out.
Okay.
All right. Just, to me, that's where his character works.
It's funny, but man, the movie just went it got very, sort of, they were pontificating towards the end. And I wasn't buying it. I wasn't buying it towards the end. I really liked how all things kind of came together in sort of a climactic moment where everybody's likes, everybody's love for one another is proclaimed in the scene, and there were sitcom misconceptions, misunderstandings, all sort of came together like a 5-minute scene, which was that was good.
Yeah, worked for me.
It was good. Well, I think we'll put that on the poster. It works for me. Yeah. John Black, Post Movie Podcast.
That would work. That'd be selling tickets.
Moving on. I think unless there's any other fanning of the flame of Crazy Stupid Love.
No. None.
Picks of the week. Saw this movie, Kess. I picked up the wrong movie. I've got Kess from the Criterion Collection, the Ken Loach film from 1970. I just loved it, based on the book Kestrel for a Knave, about a young boy growing up in Bristol, I think,
Connecticut.
Well, I forget the name of the town. It was a working-class northern England town where, life is pretty bleak, but he's able to take in a hawk and train it. And that is the gist of the film. That is pretty much all of it, but the performances are terrific. And just a wonderful, wonderful film. I couldn't recommend it more.
Have you seen a lot of Ken Loach movies?
No, I have not.
That, it needed subtitles. And
yes, I did. Sarah and I watched it, and we got maybe 10 minutes in before we were like, we need help.
Yeah.
It just was, the accent was so thick we had to watch it with the subtitles. So other than that,
No, that's he did one called My Name is Joe, which is a great movie that takes place in Scotland, and it's in quote unquote English, but I needed subtitles. And he does a lot of movies without actors.
Yeah, well, this one was except for I think his teacher. Everybody in the film was a non-actor. Terrific performance by one of the teachers who plays a soccer coach in this. I don't recall if you've seen that scene where the kids are basically like, the school is like prison for him. And he's like, he's like a prison. The teacher's like a prison guard getting these kids to do soccer. And I swear, the kid in this film, David Bradley, wonderful performance. But boy, they sure do go through hell in this movie. Terrific film. Criterion, always a great presentation. Love the liner notes and everything. I can't recommend it more.
Cool.
John, what you got?
We Are What We Are. Directed by Jorge Michael Grau.
Yeah.
So it's this movie. It starts out, there's a guy walking through the mall, and he's like an old creepy old guy, and he's just walking along. People are avoiding him. You don't know if he's homeless or if he's on drugs or whatever.
Right.
He collapses, coughs up a lot of blood, and dies. This is the opening.
Okay.
So we cut to the family at home. He was a watch repair guy. So the family's in this house with all these clocks around them, and the kids are like, what are we going to do? Dad's gone. Who's going to take his place? Who's going to take Dad's place? And you think it's that, who's going to take the watch repair business. You find out these people are cannibals. Dad was a hunter.
Oh, wonderful.
So it's not who's going to fix the watches. Who's going to go out and get the body they need for the ritual that night? And it takes a very twisted turn as the two sons try to go out, and they're not good. Like, they try to kidnap homeless kids.
Is there any indication in the marketing of the film that this is about cannibalism?
Yeah. In the poster they show someone eating a finger on the poster.
Okay.
Which is when they do the autopsy of the old man, that's how the police discover that he's a cannibal, because there's an undigested finger in his stomach.
Oh.
But then it's not really gross until the end when they finally do get a body for the ritual. But it's so creepy. The whole thing is just so creepy, the way they build it. The family all start to work together because it's desperate time. For some reason, they need a body by midnight. And so
can't they just go to the supermarket and kind of stave off the cannibalistic urge?
No, because evidently it's part of the ritual, as you see when they've got the body on the table and they kill it. I don't know. They never say what else. I was willing to cut them the slack because I was creeped out by the whole thing. It was just a fun horror film.
Cannibalism with a prescribed amount of time.
Right. It's kind of like it's like vampire rules. You can't go out in the sun. These people need to kill a victim by a certain time, or I don't know what happens.
Okay. What's it called again?
We Are What We Are.
Okay.
An IFC midnight release. It's for people like me who like that kind of thing. It's a lot of fun.
I'm intrigued. I hadn't heard of it. Good choice, man. The other film I want to talk about is Rec 2, which I think some people might pronounce Record 2,
right?
But it's basically Rec in parentheses 2, which is a sequel to Rec in parentheses. Big surprise.
Yeah.
Spanish film, filmed in Barcelona, I believe, and remade in America as Quarantine, which I must say I have not seen the original Rec, but I saw Quarantine, so it all kind of leads up into what takes place in this film. And it's about an apartment complex in Barcelona or outside. Yeah, it's in Barcelona that has been quarantined because they're putting out the word that there's some sort of
some sort of what, Steve?
Some sort of disease or something that's rapidly spreading through the inhabitants of the apartment complex. But when the few people that go in to investigate to try and help the people that are confined in there find that one of the people in there is a priest, they soon learn that it's not like a disease. It's not the airborne disease contagion that they said it was. It's actually these people are possessed. It's a demon that's going from person to person to person, and it attacks quickly and viciously. And it's told, in sort of the first-person perspective of the video camera. It's cool. It's cool. There's no doubt about it. And, I think that having seen Quarantine, I thought it was a fun film. I think Rec 2 kind of falls into the category of, if you're looking for a scary film, something creepy, not incredibly, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a fun film. I recommend it. There's some fucked up shit that goes on in terms of, like, some of the possessed people in the movie. Like, they blocked this one. The way that somebody can get possessed is that there's multiple people in the complex that are possessed. And it's kind of has like this weird zombie sort of mix to it. Right. In other words, that like if you're bitten by one of the possessed people, you also become possessed. So it's like a demon, like a contagious demon. If you die, you come back as like a zombie demon. So there's some people that are quarantined in rooms in the house. Mm-hmm. If you other people don't know that there's this other person behind the door.
Right.
It's cool.
But
it's fun.
For someone like me who has that low tolerance for cell phone movies, is the filming going to drive me crazy?
No, you dig it.
Okay.
You dig it. And, here we go again. This is the most baby background BS we've had on the freaking thing. Oh, my God. All right, we're going to have to end it. John.
Nope.
Anything else?
That's it.
So yeah, I can't, I think I want to say something really quickly about Donnie Darko, which also came out on Blu-ray this week. They've released a 10th anniversary edition of Donnie Darko. Sarah and I watched it last night, plus we watched some of the supplementary stuff. And on disc 2, there's actually a really good film. It's basically a film that won a contest. They said, well, make a movie and just make a short film showing us who you are as a Donnie Darko fan, because we want to find out who the biggest Donnie Darko fan is, and so they have this very funny short film on disc 2, plus production diary and another making of thing called the number one fan documentary is what it's called. It's on disc 2, and then there's a couple of featurettes on there. It's good. What'd you think of Donnie Darko?
I don't remember. I saw it when it came out. I remember that, but I have no real recollection of it all. I got the disc, the set. I'm going to watch it, but I'm not that.
I don't have
that cult feeling for it.
Well, we were watching. Well, I kind of don't either, but my take on it is that it's an '80s film that's sort of like. It's not the heightened '80s. It's not the campy '80s like from the comedy Take Me Home Tonight.
Right.
It's like the real sort of 80s. And when we were watching some of the, I dig all the extras, the deleted scenes and the production diaries and stuff. And Sarah doesn't so much go for it, but we watched some of it last night. And during one of the theater scenes in which Patrick Swayze performs, I was surprised to see Seth Rogen as one of the minor bullies. I think he was one of the bully characters that beat on Jake Gyllenhaal or intimidated or something like that, or friends of one of the guys. But it was weird to see Seth Rogen involved in the film. But anyway, the Blu-ray DVD digital combo just came out, 10th anniversary, Donnie Darko.
Does it really need to be 4 discs?
Yeah, it's 4.
That's
they got
crazy.
an extra disc for the digital copy.
Yeah, because I'm going to watch it on my phone.
Well, some discs, they say, you get the digital copy, but it's like they just give you the code. They don't give you the disc.
Yeah.
They give you the actual disc here. So I think we're done.
Yes.
So check us out online. We're at post-movie.net. We're also on Facebook, and we're on iTunes. If you can subscribe, that would be awesome. Terrific. We'd completely love it. And we're very grateful for everybody who has subscribed, which is very cool. And if you have any questions, send us an email. We're at contact@post-movie.net. So until next time, I'm Steve Head.
I'm John Black.
So long, everyone.